Whatever's made, I'll hunt them.
Hello, welcome back to Fallout 76. Yep, you guessed right, it's time for Minerva's big sale. Congratulations, you're a genius! Or you were smart enough to look at the thumbnail, eh? In any case, welcome in and let's take a look at what goodies Minerva has for us. She'll set up outside Whitespring Refuge. So after you fast travel there, look to the right of the entrance. Right where I'm shooting at. And of course, this being a big sale, she'll have all the items she's had for the last 3 sales. There's quite a lot of items and some of them are pretty nice. Let's take a look, starting from the most to the least useful. If you favor power armor, then the T65 is one of the better items on sale. It's got very high resistances to ballistic and energy damage. It looks really good too, especially if you pair it up with the presidential paint that you got from an all-season reward. Basically, it works just like all power armors. You get into one and just kick ass. But one thing to keep in mind is that power armor helmets actually have protection, so make sure you also buy the plan for the helmet. It's best used with the power user perk to reduce fusion core usage, and stabilized to give you heavy weapons an inherent armor piercing effect. Power armor is especially good with something like a flamer or the cremator, but any heavy weapon benefits from the armor. The T65 is a good set, and there's nothing wrong with getting it, but personally I recommend the Union because it gives you better bonuses. But from a pure numbers perspective, the T65 is still a very good set. If you got the plasma caster from the last few sales, this is your chance to get the best mods for it. I'm talking about the Alliance Sniper Barrel and the Calibrated Capacitor. The barrel increases your range and accuracy and reduces your VATS cost, while the capacitor gives you a 100% damage bonus to VATS criticals. Pair them up with the Critical Savvy and Better Criticals perks and you'll see why it's so effective. Like I've said before, the caster is one of the best weapons in the game as long as you're using it in VATS, so it goes really well with that low health commando character. The True Capacitor gives you a bit more accuracy, but because the caster should be used in VATS, you want the Aligned Capacitor instead. The same goes for the True Barrel, you get more accuracy, but the Aligned Sniper Barrel gives you more range and less AP cost. And skip the Pulse Capacitor. The Crusader Pistol is one of the better pistols in the game. It does suffer from the disadvantage of being a pistol, so it's not the most optimal weapon. But Fallout 76 is not a game where you have to min-max, so it's perfectly possible to use this gun and still rip through hordes of enemies, as you can see from the footage. One of the unique aspects of the Crusader is that it can have different receivers. You need to buy them from the Vault 79 gold vendor. But you can give the weapon different elemental bonuses, plus you can rechamber it to use different ammunition like fusion cells or 5.56. That makes it very flexible, and personally I favor the cryo damage and slowdown effects you can get. It is a bit pricey to buy the plan, but you can also get it from daily ops, so you might want to wait for that. Like I said at the beginning, it's not an ideal weapon, but it is pretty handy. This is a special set of Covert Ops armor that gives you constant healing over time. You heal 4 hit points per second as long as you're over 60% health. The unique thing about this healing is that it works even during combat, and also applies to members of your group. But the bad thing is that for a decent level character, you have several hundred hit points, so relatively speaking it's a pretty small amount. It does get boosted by the healing factor mutation, but it's still pretty small. And obviously you have to be a full health character, so bloody builds are out of the question. For this test I removed all my radiation. First we'll let the mutants do a chunk of damage, then we'll take cover and see how well we heal. As you can see, it's pretty decent. The main problem with the armor is that there's too many ways to heal, so the healing benefit is not that great. Very few people should be short on stim packs, and they heal just as quickly. A birthday cake works just as well. It is a nice set overall if you're planning to play at full health, but you can get just as much benefit by using a Holy Fire or another vampiric weapon. so I'd recommend that as the way to go. This is a special version of the missile launcher. By default, it fires missiles just like the normal launchers, but you can also modify it to change its effects. The plasma mod gives it some extra energy damage. The napalm mod lays down some fire that applies burning damage on enemies that walk into it. The cryo mod slows down enemies that get hit by the explosion. These are nice for a gimmick, but it's always better to just go for something like the boomstick instead. The Turbo-fert is situational. If you do a lot of plant harvesting, like say for adhesive, then it's well worth the gold. The machine holds one grenade and it refreshes every 5 minutes. You equip it like a grenade and throw it at your crops to instantly refresh them. It's really good, but only for farmers. The Gauntlet is arguably the most powerful unarmed weapon available. But a caveat is that even after buying the plans, you need legendary modules and a level 5 perk to craft it. You can also separately buy the electrical mod for extra damage. You'll get random legendary properties, so you will have to change them to what you want. This is in a nightmare world, but you can see that it's quite effective. It has the same animations as my bloody power fist, and with the right legendary properties it would be better. But that's exactly the problem with the Gauntlet. For the amount of effort you have to put in, it's not that much better than my power fist. So I wouldn't say that the Gauntlet is a must-have weapon. It's good for unarmed specialists, but pretty much nobody else. This is another unarmed weapon. Normally I'd say that you should skip it, but it has an almost ideal set of 3 stars for a chainsaw or auto axe. So with the new legendary crafting system coming, this is a weapon that you should be able to scrap over and over again to try and learn the plans for the star modules. But it is quite pricey, so I'd only recommend buying the plan if you have a lot of spare gold. There's a couple of mods available for the Gauss Shotgun. The precise stock is pretty good if you favour accuracy over action points. You can also get the forceful stock instead, but in my opinion the extra VATS cost is not big enough to worry about. The Vicious Receiver gives you extra critical damage, so if you use it in VATS for killing enemies, then it will be useful. But in my case, I use the shotgun for tagging and harvesting ultraside ammo, so I use the Prime Receiver instead. These used to be top tier weapons, just like the Warglaives. They're not as good now, but they're still decent because they do physical and energy damage. The Elemental Blades are on sale this time around. They boost your base damage and give you extra bonus effects. Let's quickly see how the base weapon does.
How you hurt me?
The electrical blade does a fair bit more damage, because most enemies don't have resistance to electricity. There's no special effect, but you do a fair chunk more damage. The cryo blade also slows enemies, so it's pretty decent against tougher ones. I won't show the flame attachment, but it applies a small damage over time, which unfortunately doesn't stack, so it's not really worth it over the other blades. The multi-barrel options for the minigun give you faster fire, but the problem I have is that they reduce your range by quite a lot. So if you prefer to fight up close, then it would be useful, but I favour the extra range. This is not really a weapon so much as a tool. Basically, it's a single shot handgun that fires flares. You would think that they might do explosive damage, but that's not the case. Instead, they light up the area around them, and if you walk into it, you'll blind yourself. Pretty handy if you want to annoy someone, like say someone who's spamming nukes at an event. But be careful about shooting it into a crowd of enemies. The initial blast might not do any actual damage, but it will tick them off. If you favour boss armor, then you can buy some pocketed mods at a discount. But let me advise you that you should simply save up for the deep pocketed mods or the ultralight ones instead. 3 cowboy inspired clothing items are available if you want to go for that look. Both the duster and the chaps are clothing. I don't have the plans for the hat, so I just took a black cowboy hat from my stash. The actual one probably looks different. The duster is a long leather coat that goes over a cowboy top and pants. You also get some spurs on your boots. Despite what you might imagine, the chaps are a full costume. You have your cowboy outfit, and over that, you get some overpants. Not sure what exactly you call them. Plus some spurs on your boots. This one's for explosive specialists out there. It's an upgraded version of the Dynamite stick. The great thing about the bundle is that it uses the same cheap materials as the stick, just more of it. And for that, you get a bigger bang. Not only in terms of damage, but in terms of explosion radius. If you compare the bundle to different common throwables, you'll see that it's one of the more effective ones. Plasma grenades, and obviously nuclear grenades are better, but the bundle is a cheaper option if you want to spam grenades. There's 2 types of chairs available this time around. Both are chairs made out of creatures. And no, the gorilla might be thick, but it's not fully anatomically correct. Don't ask me why I bothered to check for that. You can't see it until you install it, but the ghoul is still alive and kicking. Or biting if you want to be more accurate. But if you look closely, it looks like the teeth have been pulled out and the eyes sewn shut. So if you think about it, the ghoul chair is pretty dark. Luckily we never leaned back far enough to get headbutted, although it looks like we get a nice back massage. This is a light fixture that attaches to ceilings and matches what you find in the asylum. Of course you need to provide area power to actually get it to light up, and it's possible to switch it off. It's a bit expensive just for a different looking light, so recommend getting it from daily ops unless you absolutely must have this type of light fixture. It's a stash box, just skinned to look like a muty gore bag. It works exactly like any other stash box. The plan also drops for daily ops, so unless you're going for a particular look for your camp or shelter, you should get it from ops instead of spending gold. There's a few chalkboards under the wall decor menu. Not sure exactly which ones are part of this sale, but there's several with sciencey drawings on them. You have to attach them to a wall, and from the looks of it, the text is pretty visible. This looks like the green stuff the super mutants are always looking for. Maybe they just wanted some chlorophyll all along, eh? But talking about mutants, you can also get one in a tube. It's exactly like you might expect. It's literally a mutant in a tube. Now if this was Fallout London, right about now we'd get someone busting into our camp and breaking the tube open. And speak of the devil, we're not alone. Yep, I guess even the mutants want to play the mod. Anyway, I hope you were able to get anything you might want from this sale, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when new videos come out. See you soon.